Shaky Town.
Toot
Gene,
toot. I don't know why I said toot toot.
you're not Nardwuar. You're not being interviewed by Nardwuar either.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's true.
Brodie Hubbard, Gene George. Nardwuar will be interviewing Chappell Roan, though. I'm really excited for that.
The Chappell Roan.
Yes.
What?
She's got such a reputation for being like prickly that I think I'll really enjoy like seeing that. I know there's a lighter side to her because I've seen her old TikToks, but like I feel like um, it'll be nice. Like pretty much everybody loves Nardwuar, and I think and I just excited to see how he surprises her, what he surprises her with.
Uh, yeah, I. It's funny you're talking about her. Uh, um, my son, a friend of the show, Fletcher George, friend of the show, uh, was singing "Hot to Go" in the other room, and I'm like, "What are you? Why are you singing Chappell Run?" And he's like, "You know who that is?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like she was on SNL. Like she's pretty much in the zeitgeist. Like it's like."
Yeah.
He was, I think it's the first time he's accused me of being an old fuddy duddy indirectly. Like, yeah, who doesn't know who she is? It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How was your birthday?
Loki, Loki. I got some Sasquatch brand soaps
Nice.
and some candy and a cake that was terrible. Terrible. I knew it was going to be a problem because, again, Fletcher George, my son, friend of the show. Um, I don't know why that tickles me so much. He pings me when they were at the supermarket getting my cake, and normally I like a German chocolate cake. I like,
Yeah.
it's usually not a little less sweet. The coconut kind of. I'm not a sweet dessert person.
Yeah.
Um, and he's like, if you if they didn't have that cake, what's your next cake? And I'm like, okay, just a chocolate cake. And he's like, with ganache? And I'm like, so like when a 12-year-old is texting you things like ganache, I'm like, yes, with ganache. And but they got it, and it was this super sweet buttercream, and everyone was just like, it was like cloyingly sweet, like they made it intentionally poorly, but it was good. I mean, it's like I birthdays. I don't know if you're like me, but after a certain point, it's just like, hey, I made my own dinner, so it's not like it was, because they're like, you want to go out? And I'm like, no, I bought stuff. I'll just make food.
Yeah, we were coming off everybody. So you and I are at polar opposites of November. You're the last day of November. I'm the first day of November.
Right.
And so ours was coming off everybody having been sick when they were finally well, doing a big trick or treat night the night before with friends. So the next day it was like, well, they happened to have that day off school, the kids did, but um, their mom had to do work at home that day. And so she's just like, take them and go look for, there's kind of a tradition of let's look at for Halloween clearance. But everything's more expensive these days, including even Halloween clearance. You don't get a good deal. And then it was, let's go to the places where you can get free stuff on your birthday. But all those places have switched over to apps, and they're like, oh, no, we
Uh,
don't have your information in the app. So I don't get anything free. Okay. And then their birthday gift for me, um, like I didn't ask for really anything, I just like, and so, yeah, the last couple of years, they all kind of have a surprise for me. And this year it was this shirt, but this didn't come till December 1st. But
of course.
you can see
Nice.
the
It's kind of
the
watch more women's basketball. You're ghosting out when you're getting too close to the camera.
yeah,
There you
just
go. There you go.
watch more women's basketball T-shirt. The video audience can see
No,
that.
well, technically, it says watch more women's basketball. There's a full stop at each
Yes,
word.
Because they're like, we've gotten you horror related things the last couple of years, so we thought we'd get you a sports related one. I'm like, I like it, so I'm gonna actually wear it tonight to their they're doing a concert. The kids are so like
So
they're
you could, if you wanted to, you could like write something on a piece of masking tape and write more. If you watch more scary women's basketball,
right,
it
right,
would
right.
cover both camps.
There you go. I do have an idea for a shirt that would be the trio of the Holy Trinity of Frank Henenlotter characters.
Uh huh.
Like Frankenhooker is the cheerleader. Um, uh, the brain damage worm, which the name I'm is
Yeah.
evading my brain at the moment. He's a referee. Belial from Basket Case dunking the ball.
Nice.
Yeah. Um,
Basket case. So the movie's so gory, they provide surgical masks so you don't get blood on your face. Have I told that story?
no, tell me.
I saw Basket Case in Detroit when I lived in Detroit. So whatever year it came out, or shortly thereafter. So I was it was 10th grade. So I was like,
Yeah.
84, 85. And that's when I lived in Detroit. And I wish I still had it. They actually handed out surgical masks at the box office so you didn't get blood on your face. Yeah. So, and
That's
otherwise
awesome.
it was Basket Case.
Yeah. Basket Case famously taking place in the streets of New York. Gene, let's talk about another famous thing that's happened in the streets of New York.
Dirty water hot dogs. No, not dirty water hot dogs.
Um,
Uh,
this is okay. Can I tell you my thought process on why I wanted to talk about this? Besides
yeah,
it
sure.
being the
Yeah,
biggest
sure.
story.
Sure,
So
sure.
the biggest news story right now is as of press time is that the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian
The insurance division of United Healthcare.
yes, Brian Thompson, who was a husband and father, I think we should point that out, um, was not only shot and killed in New York, but the whole thing was caught on video. And, there's people in my life like where I'm like, hey, I saw the video, and they're like, don't send it to me. I do not want to see that.
Sure. Oh
Somebody who
boy.
was like raised on rotten.com, it's like pretty tame, but
Yeah.
it looks like something out of a video game or a TV show where a hooded, and when I say hood, I mean hooded sweatshirt, masked gunman
Yes.
just walks in and they're using a suppressor on the gun, sometimes known as a silencer. The casing's coming out and the person's catching them, and he's like pushing through
Well,
manual
he's
jamming of the car.
yeah, it's a terribly set up suppressor because he's having clear malfunctions after every shot, which means not a pro.
See, other people are saying the opposite. They're saying it looked like a professional thing. But now that it's coming out that the bullet casings had the words deny, defend, and depose written on them, which is matches. There's a book came out by Professor Jay Feynman called,
Shoot some dude in the back in New York City.
no, the book
Oh
was,
wow, would have been on the nose. Sorry.
the book was called, I just had it pulled up.
Hey, I hate this guy. Shoot him.
Is it okay? So deny, depose, defend is the
Okay.
casing. I think the book is called. There's a book about how insurance companies deny coverage and
Oh sure.
will take on the lawsuit.
Yeah,
So
because they have the money and the lawyers, and they can do whatever they want until your
yeah,
grandma's dead of colon cancer or whatever. Yeah.
delay, deny, and defend
Yeah.
is the phrase from this book by Jay Feynman about why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it. So on some
Was that was that in the appendix? Like buy a 9 and a silencer?
oh my. So like the people in my life, I have like there's some older people in my life. They're like, yeah, those streets in New York. That's why I don't go. It's dangerous. I'm like, I'm like, you're missing the you're missing the point. First of all, you're from
Oh,
Phoenix, and people get shot in Phoenix.
oh, dude, I watched the active self protection who's out of Arizona, and Phoenix PD is on that YouTube channel. Well, The only place that's on that YouTube channel more is Houston, Texas.
Yeah. And
Usually it's the cops shooting people, though.
yeah,
So
yeah,
either way, so I wouldn't want to get shot by anybody.
yeah. And I have the people, who are like, oh, it's terrible. Murder is wrong. And this is a father and a husband,
Yeah.
and this is bad. And then there's the other people who are like, oh, the revolution's begun. I don't have sympathy because this person, it was under investigation for shady things, and like people have died because of denial of insurance coverage. I have my thoughts and I will save those in a moment, but you are somebody who you can remind our audience would be intimately aware of the implications of this, the broader scope of the insurance.
Yeah. So I mean, I worked for what. Well, I guess United is the biggest healthcare provider. So I don't know where my former employer stood, but I do know that if you want to suss it out, one of the things that came out in the background of all of this dude getting shot is that the company that I used to work for denies the least number of claims at about 7%. The industry average. I don't think that this is because, as Brodie just set up, I'm an expert. This is I literally just read this yesterday. I worked on the technical side, so I don't know I know almost nothing about the insurance side of the company that I used to work for. They may in fact be totally different, separate corporate entities, but they deny about 7%, and the industry average is 16%. United literally doubles that. 32% of their claims are denied. So, yeah, it's like in an industry that is kind of, has a reputation for being dicks, they are the dickiest of the dicks. So yeah, it's my experience with the company I used to work for is with the healthcare side and the IT side. And the IT side supports the healthcare side. So I see the doctors and the nurses, I see the people trying to make people's lives better. And I was a person who supported those people. So karmically, and one of the reasons why I stayed where I did as long as I did was, and would still be there to this day if they hadn't been infiltrated by the same kind of corporate people that get shot in the back, is because it makes people's lives better, not worse. And this dude was apparently, the snake head of the head of the snake of the organization that makes people's lives worse, ultimately to the tune of twice the average of the median insurance company, health
Yeah.
insurance provider. So yeah, that's my take on it, is, or at least my assessment of it is, wow, you got to work hard. You got to wake up every day, like, well, whatever the deny, delay, whatever. You have to wake up every day with that mindset, not a mindset of how are we going to make people's lives better, how are we going to fix their problems, how are we going to get them out of this health situation, but how do we make the most money out of this? What's the value proposition for telling? Well, what's the thing that just came out like literally hours after this guy's laying on the slab in the morgue? Is was it Blue Cross that came, or was it United that came out?
Is Blue
The
Cross
one
Blue
that Blue
denied?
Cross Blue Shield,
Yeah.
they're not going to cover anesthesia for procedures that go longer than the allotted time that they've said a procedure should take. So,
Yeah.
like, you're going to be in the middle of open heart surgery, and they're going to be like, "Well, sorry, everything else is on you, pal." Like, eat a fucking bag of dicks. Like, so that's the. I don't know if this is the revolution coming. I never thought I'd be rooting for the Unabomber, and this is kind of what it feels like. But I think it's certainly, all joking aside, again, a terrible tragedy on a personal level.
Mhm.
Um, this guy was a corporate monster.
Yeah.
He presided over. I feel as bad about his tragedy, his, leaving his kids and his wife out of it, as I would a concentration camp guard getting beaten to death by starving inmates at the end of the war.
Yeah.
Like that's ethically, I feel like that's where he's at.
Yeah.
So does that make me a bad person? Maybe, but I certainly aren't a cause millions of people harm directly or indirectly through my work person.
So for me, it's like I'm not an accelerationist. I am not savoring the notion of revolution, not because, oh, it's going to inconvenience my commute, but it's like I've got kids and that's not the world I want for them. I want change. I want transformation. Um, that's going to be a lot harder with the incoming administration. But, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, CEOs should be scared. And
Oh, I said it. I literally said that. I said it in a sarcastic. No one should make CEOs. I think the phrase I used was pants shittingly scared
yeah,
that they're going to be murdered.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm not the target. Like I have nothing to be scared of in that sense. I have a lot more to be scared about if my family and I lost insurance coverage and if something bad happened and we were, financially destroyed. But so my sympathies aren't with corporations or um the comfort of CEOs, but I also don't know if it's necessarily great to root for more people.
Root for the Unabomber.
Like, like I said, as somebody who grew up on rotten.com and has seen those cartel videos, and yeah, like there's, you know, a lot of terror that frames the world for people. And it hasn't touched America. And some people would say, well, maybe it needs to, and maybe that's the way you're going to get change.
well, let's. I think there's an important distinction. It hasn't touched upper class white America, but because the South Side of Chicago is there's cartel activity, quote unquote, going on there. That there's all kinds of domestic terror incidents around criminal behavior, racist behavior, and things like that. So yeah, it's I think a lot of this is oh yeah, the country club guy got it. Like good. But I agree. I mean, I agree. I so Rabbi Danya Ruttenberg or Danya, I don't know how, I've never actually heard it pronounced now that I think about it, has been talking a lot on Blue Sky about organizing and how
Mhm.
organizing is a really really important thing now that now that shit's going to hit the fan with Trump too. Um, and one of the things that she published just a couple days ago, might have been concurrent or just before this happened, was talking about organizing. And one of the things in that article is talking about the efficacy of revolutionary movements and nonviolent movements in the 20th century uh, succeed like twice as often as violent movements.
Right.
So there's a pragmatic aspect to it. There's very little justice in the world. There's a lot of law. So I think people are, hooray, but nobody really wants a world where, more than two or three more billionaires, or more than maybe a dozen, maybe call it 20. Let's just
Yeah.
say 100 to make it round numbers. Well, how many billionaires are there in the world? Like 2,000 some odd? More than 2,000 billionaires. Nobody wants a world where violence is enacted upon those people
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So I, I, I honestly think that organization is the key. I don't. My immediate thought after that, and nonviolence is the key. My immediate thought is, if there was a general strike, if all those healthcare workers walked off the job, if all those healthcare workers walked off the job, if all those insurance adjusters walked off the job, um, you know, that'll make changes. However, with the incoming administration, what I immediately worry about is what happens when they shut the internet down. They shut the cell phone towers down. They stop communication from happening, because that can happen. That can happen. There's precedent for it in other authoritarian countries. And if idiot, you know, orange felon has decided that he's going to use the military to crack down on civil unrest, like, all bets are off.
We're just a day or so past South Korea had a martial law
Yes. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was brief, and like basically the folks in the government said, no, we're not.
Not in my house. Yeah. 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 But they were scaling the walls of the Parliament building to get in to vote against this asshole and his dubious martial law declaration. I just don't know who's going to be storming the White House or the legislature to vote against proclamations from the idiot in chief.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've seen some people say like, would American Democrats do this? And like,
Zero,
ah,
0% would.
I think there's
Zero.
some in Arizona that would. I know some really good folks who are in local Democratic
Sure.
leadership. One of them is actually running to be reelected as Arizona chair of the party, and like, I'm like, you're one of the Democrats I like because I know you're serious about this. And
Yeah.
I've seen the voter drives and I've seen the legit efforts from, especially from Latinos and from Native Americans, like literally like from the reservations of
Yeah.
Arizona,
Sure.
like, but that's local. The DNC and the party is a
Yeah.
whole. And I said I wouldn't relitigate like the campaign, the Kamala Harris campaign, but like to see all the stuff that's come out in the last couple weeks, where it seems like they knew they were gonna lose and like didn't really care as long as they raised funds. Um,
Well, here's the question you have to ask is, will there be enough votes in a Republican controlled legislature to make a change to something idiot man child does? And the answer is no. I guarantee you there are, maybe someone will huck Bernie Sanders over a barricade, but like, that's not going to get whatever, you know,
I am
200.
asking you now to give me a.
Yeah. What we need now is, I need a hand up and over the barricade. If only 1% of you lifts me over this, but I mean, still, like, whatever it's hashed out to now, 214 to 217. Like, do you really think 214 corporate Democrats, some various independents, and a few Republicans are going to overturn something like that? And the answer is no, because they're not doing shit now. Like, you know,
Somebody pointed out that Democrats were in control of Congress for 12 of the last 16 years or 14 years or
yeah.
something, and how like, well, did you see anything, make any progress on like
Well,
insurance rates
part,
or
part of that is Republican obstructionism.
yeah.
They're not going to get any. That's the thing, is the set before the spike of MAGA Trumpism is getting Republicans to be a never back down, never Democrat. Nothing the opposing side can do is right, and we have to oppose everything on principle, unless absolutely our feet are held to the fire, like government shutdowns that are going to hurt us as much or more than the Democrats. Like literally, that's the only way things get done in a bipartisan effort anymore. Is if it's going to, they're going to be hoisted by their own petard by being an obstructionist. But like if Yertle the Turtle, Mitch McConnell, like it it's been decades of no, we're not going to do the business of the American people because Democrats have touched it, because there might be some social safety nets or programs in there, and time and time again, when the infrastructure bill passed, all the Republicans who were like, literally sitting on their thumbs because of it and voted against it were like, oh yeah, now we're gonna get bridges and roads and see what we did for you. And it's like, yeah, you fucking voted against it. And that was the best part of that infrastructure bill is watching people just slam the representatives who were crowing about it, the Republican representatives that were crowing about it, like, oh yeah, the one you voted against, the one you said was going to ruin America. It's like, so it's gridlock. It's institutional gridlock now, and it's only going to be worse if the bad guys, there's no good guys, but MAGA is the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
If they can do what they want and have a hell of a lot better chance of passing it because they control both, houses of the legislature, it's just going to be fucking terrible. But that's the thing, is we'll see though. They've packed the courts. They have a conservative majority in the court. They have a fucking useless tool of a fucking puppet in the executive chair who may still have some chaos bullshit to do, and they have the legislature. So they got Project 2025, which we already know is going to be a fucking nightmare. That they were like, oh, we're not going to do that. We are going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, again, I served unto you a platter from the bag of dicks. It's like, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, all hail the leader is what I meant to say.
Yeah, of course. What else has been going on besides the terrible stuff in the news? And uh, I'm
Hang on, I wrote a note here.
Yeah.
The two things. Oh yeah, so I wrote, because I knew we were going to talk about
Yeah.
the what's his face, the martyr to the holy CEO seed. The Lori Kilmartin.
Yes.
Lori Kilmartin posted on Instagram. That guy's name, I know that guy's name. It's Spartacus. And I thought, and I 100% hope the NYPD is getting phone calls.
Oh my God.
directing people all over the hell and gone. But yeah, it was the two things I wanted to say about that, and to wrap that up is it's both I like Lori's comment, and it reminded me of the Chris Rock OJ bit where he talks about, I don't condone murder, but I understand.
I didn't bring it up myself because I couldn't remember the context of the routine, but I did remember Chris Rock saying, but I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for filling in that blank for me. Yes.
Yeah. No, I watched it again today, and it's, he's driving around in the Ferrari that you bought her.
Yeah.
I don't condone murder, but I understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I sit with it. I get it. I get
it. Some would say that Will Smith slapping Chris Rock led us to here.
It's true.
Keep
OJ's name out of your mouth.
Oh,
Is that what he said, right? That's what he said, right? No, I don't think that's what he said.
Do you remember the Judd Apatow tweet?
No.
So after that happened,
well, is this on Dead Bird? Because I'm not on Dead Bird.
Oh no, this was a while. No, this was like
okay, go.
After Will, like Judd Apatow.
Oh, after the smackety do. Okay.
Yeah, he was like, he could have killed him, and like was going off about it, and everybody was like,
what?
Come on, Judd.
I mean, yeah, maybe if he lost his balance and fell into the orchestra pit and impaled himself on a mic stand or something.
I couldn't enjoy a Judd Apatow movie after after that.
That was, and he was serious, right?
Yes. Yeah, he was like all these people were really like I don't know. I remember
Has
even
he has he seen has he seen boxing or wrestling?
time. That's so there's a guy CM Punk and he very famously got into two backstage fights in the last couple of years, not in WWE, but in a company called AEW, All Elite Wrestling, which has become this alternative run by Tony Khan, whose family also owns the Jacksonville Jaguars and some, soccer teams, aka football teams overseas. And CM Punk was away for a long time because he left the WWE quite acrimoniously. I hope I'm using that word correctly.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and uh, he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming back to wrestling with AEW." But then he ended up getting like backstage fights and got
Maybe
fired for
maybe the
cause.
problem's you, brother.
Well, the
No, I
thing
know.
is,
I just
WWE booted Vince McMahon, and like it's his son-in-law, Triple H, Paul Levesque, who runs it now with like that big company that owns it, Endeavor, which also owns UFC. It's like a major,
right.
corporation now. And they're like, "Yeah, we'll take CM Punk back." And CM Punk's like, "Yeah, Vince isn't there. I'll sign me up." And
So
he's had a great year there. The point to this and how this relates to Will Smith is, you know, a lot of people at the time and since have been like, wrestlers got into fistfights behind the scenes all the time. It's only in I don't know if it's wokeness, but it's like, and that's that line for me where sometimes I'm like, I don't present myself as a tough guy and I, but there's a part of me that's like, if you have to handle business, if it's between two consenting men and they duke it out. I mean, what happened to Chris Rock was clearly a sucker punch, but
yeah, 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 yeah.
like I just don't. So I don't clutch my pearls over
Yeah.
it, but I also think that yeah, there's something to be said for decorum, and there is something to be said that we're not in smoke-filled rooms in the 70s and 80s anymore, and maybe there is a better way of talking things out than
Yeah.
resorting to fisticuffs. But
Yeah. Well, my thought is because I just had this conversation with a friend of the show, my son Fletcher,
yeah,
um, the other day because he's in middle school and there's some macho posturing and stuff that happens. It's kind of where it starts, and
yes,
and this is what I told him. I told him if you're getting into a fight, you've already lost. But if you get into a fight, know this: you're going to get hurt. That's okay. You're probably not going to get hurt so bad that it's going to permanently injure you. If you do, that's another matter entirely. But don't worry about that. If someone punches you in the face, it's going to hurt like hell. But you know what? If they're punching you in the face, punch them in the nuts, knock them down, and be done with it.
yeah,
Right? And it's like, but know that if you get into a fight, if you've gone through, you've walked away, you've done all you can, and somebody jumps you, you absolutely have the right to defend yourself, and you absolutely should do it as quickly and as dirtily as you possibly can to get out of that situation. Go to a grown up, and if it's at school, go to a teacher and end it. But you know what? Getting hurt is the thing that happens.
yeah,
And getting punched hurts. And but it's rarely a thing that is that ends. There have been cases where people have hit their head on the ground and died, but
right,
generally speaking, an 11-year-old punching you in the face is going to hurt like hell, and you might get a shiner, your eyes will water or whatever, or you get hit in the gut and it's going to knock the wind out of you. But you know what? People get hurt,
right,
and that's just, it's like falling off a bike. you know it gravity and physics take its toll, but otherwise you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You'll get through it, and you'll be sore, and everything's going to be fine. But just do what you need to do to protect yourself. And that to me is the essence of it. You don't go looking for a fight. You do everything to avoid a fight. If that means when somebody says, "Oh, you're going to be a chicken if you don't show up at the bike racks after school," I'm never going to see you. I will never see you. I will be like a ninja. And when you see me at the cafeteria and you say, "Oh, you're a chicken," or "You're a vagina," or whatever,
Right.
I'll be like, "Yep, big chicken, big vagina." I'll meet you. I'll meet you at the bike racks. You stay there and wait for me. Wait until it gets dark if you have to, because I'm never going to be there.
Yeah. I'm much more of the school of thought that I'm worried about the kid hitting the back of his head and it's lights out. Like that's happened locally. Like
Yeah,
it,
yeah. It can.
like recently a kid died.
Yeah.
And like I'm just again, it goes into the thing of like I just don't want to live in a world where that's the where I live in a world where violence is the currency, but like
Yes. Yeah,
I
yeah,
that's not what I want for my I'm in a very lucky situation. I think we've talked about this on the show, and I certainly have talked about this with other parents and with other, people our age that like my kids have it so much easier. Um, my kid's doing sports and gets touchdowns now, which is wild, and like, and is like in elected in the student council and things like that. And there's just not fights at his school. It's just
yeah,
not something that happens, but he's not, in a like the Phoenix public school system or Los Angeles public school system.
yeah,
It's a different beast. And there is part of me that just is worried about, when they get older and are in the
yeah.
the unsheltered world. But I know I made it out okay, and I again wasn't a tough guy.
But again, it's it's
It's
it's.
me.
I think it's the difference between living in fear and not. And again, I don't want him to be afraid to get hit.
Yeah,
God forbid something happens and he's permanently injured or
yeah,
permanently injure somebody, but I don't think anyone should have to live in fear of that. Um, and that to me is the ultimate thing. It's like, yeah, you play baseball and you get hit by pitches all the time and it
yeah,
hurts. And if someone tries to fight you, you might have to hurt someone and you may get hurt getting out of that fight,
yeah.
you know? So, that's kind of my thought about it. And it's kind of just my thought about life too. And again, like you said earlier, I don't want to live in the revolution. I mean, I just had a birthday, as we know, and so did you. And I'm 55, and that is 10 years away from being 65. And 65 is fucking old. And I don't want to have to fight federal troops on the borders of California because they're coming for woke DEI in California. I don't want to do that. It's like I don't want violence, and nonviolence is the answer. I just organize, and figure out how you're going to communicate when communications go down. Is I think the fellow travelers need to understand that circumstance.
Speaking of communication going down, our timer is running out
What,
for the
man?
violence episode of Shaky Town. But
I do not condone violence. However, what is it? What's the line from Firefly? Never hit a man with a closed fist, but it is on occasion hilarious.
somebody should hit Joss Whedon with a closed fist.
Hasn't somebody done that yet?
Oh
Seems to
man.
me, man. Anyway, he did write some true words there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, next time we'll see how many people
How many more CEOs or how many more openings? Let's go to LinkedIn and see if I should apply for that job, huh?
Oh gosh. Well, I wish you luck. If you need a reference, put me down.
I'll let you down.
Well, I won't tell them about this episode.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
I'll have a lot of basketball for you next time, and a report from seeing our old friend Ryan McKee, and I want to give a Jen Kirkman update next time as well.
nice.
But we're running out of time.
I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch Too Funny to Fail again.
All right. Take care. I'll
Bye
talk
everyone.
to you soon.
Bye Brodie. Bye everyone.
We are back on the YouTube channel. We are back in the podcast feed, and we are also on social media on X and on Instagram at Shaky Town Radio. There's a blue sky as well, so check that out and read up all on the archives at shakytownradio.com.